Olivia opens her front door and freezes. A shirtless man is in her kitchen making coffee. "Who are you?" she yells. David calmly turns around. "I'm her father. What happens next changes everything forever." Before we dive into today's story, let me know where you're watching from. Grab a coffee or get comfy on your couch, and please don't forget to support us. Just hit that like button, and I'll know you enjoy this kind of story. Ready? Let's begin. The alarm hadn't gone off, but Olivia had already been awake for 20 minutes, staring at the ceiling of her small apartment. Another night of only 3 hours of sleep. At 28, she had grown accustomed to the grueling routine, working as a janitor from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. at the downtown corporate complex, coming home, getting Chloe ready for school, sleeping a few hours while her daughter was in class, picking her up in the late afternoon, helping with homework, having dinner, putting her little one to bed, and heading back to work. "Mommy, is it time yet?" Chloe's sleepy voice echoed from the next room. "Not yet, sweetie, go back to sleep." Olivia slowly got up, trying not to make a sound. The two-bedroom apartment was modest but clean and organized. Every piece of furniture had been bought with great effort, every decoration chosen with the thought of creating a welcoming environment for Chloe. The living room walls had her daughter's drawings taped to them, and a small bookshelf held children's books she bought used whenever she had some spare cash. She walked to the kitchen and turned on the coffee maker. The morning ritual was sacred. Even exhausted, she needed that dose of caffeine to function. While waiting for the coffee to brew, she looked out the kitchen window. The sun was beginning to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange. From there, she could see the city waking up, people rushing to work, cars lined up in traffic, life happening outside. 6 years ago, ever since she discovered her pregnancy, her life had taken a completely different turn than she had imagined. Chloe's father had disappeared the moment he learned the news, leaving only a phone number that never answered again, and an empty promise that he would take responsibility. Olivia quickly learned that relying solely on herself was the only option. Her parents, who lived in a small rural town, had offered help initially, but she knew they were facing financial difficulties themselves. She decided she would manage on her own, and so far she had. It wasn't easy, but Chloe was healthy, attended a good public school, and despite the limitations, she never lacked love. The job at the corporate complex had come up 2 years ago through a referral. It paid better than her previous jobs, and since it was nights, it allowed her to be present during the day for Chloe. The building housed several companies, but most of the space belonged to a large corporation called Sterling & Co. She had never been very interested in what they did there. Her job was to clean the offices, empty the trash cans, mop the floors, and ensure everything was spotless for when the executives arrived in the morning. During those 2 years, she had developed an efficient routine. She knew every hallway, every room, every corner of that place. It was a solitary job. She rarely encountered other people besides the night security guards. This gave her time to think, to dream of a better future for herself and Chloe. "Mommy?" Chloe appeared in the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. "Can I have coffee with you?" Olivia smiled and bent down to hug her daughter. Chloe had inherited her brown hair and dark eyes, but had a strong personality that she definitely hadn't inherited from her. She was a curious, intelligent, and surprisingly mature child for her 6 years. "Of course, Princess. But you have to go back to bed after. It's still very early." They sat at the small kitchen table, sharing a moment of peace before the rush of the day began. Olivia watched Chloe drink her coffee with milk, thinking how grateful she was to have that girl in her life. No matter how tired she was, how difficult the days were, Chloe was her motivation to keep going. She had no idea that in a few hours, her life would take a completely unexpected turn. The night shift had been particularly exhausting. Olivia got home at 6:30 a.m., her back aching and her feet throbbing. The building had hosted an important meeting the day before, which meant more cleaning and organizing work. She had spent extra hours ensuring every detail was perfect. As she opened the apartment door, she expected to find the usual morning silence. Chloe would still be asleep for another hour before needing to get ready for school. It was the moment of silence Olivia cherished most. A few minutes just for her to breathe and compose herself. But today, there was something different. An aroma of fresh coffee was coming from the kitchen. Not the coffee she had programmed in the coffee maker the night before, but something more elaborate, stronger. She stopped at the entrance, frowning. Maybe she had forgotten to set the coffee maker timer? She left her bag on the couch and walked towards the kitchen, taking off her jacket. Her steps were silent, a skill developed over years of practice not to wake Chloe. As she approached the kitchen entrance, she heard a low noise like someone rummaging through utensils. This didn't make sense. Chloe would never get up that early on her own, much less try to make coffee. Olivia stopped at the kitchen entrance, and what she saw left her completely paralyzed. There was a man in her kitchen, a tall man with dark hair and broad shoulders, wearing only jeans. He had his back to her, fiddling with something on the stove with a familiarity that left her even more confused, as if he knew the place, as if he had a right to be there. Her first instinct was to scream, but the voice came out only as a hoarse whisper, Who are you?" The man slowly turned around, unhurriedly, as if he had been expecting that question. When their eyes met, Olivia felt as if the floor had disappeared beneath her feet. He was handsome, she couldn't deny that. He had striking features, dark eyes that seemed to carry some kind of determination, but there was something else. Something in his face that seemed vaguely familiar, although she was sure she had never seen him before. "Olivia," he said, and his voice was deep, controlled. "I need to talk to you. How do you know my name? How did you get into my house?" She took a step back, her heart pounding. Instinctively, she looked towards the hallway where Chloe was sleeping. "If you did anything to my daughter, Chloe is fine. She hasn't even seen me." He raised his hands in a placating gesture. "I have the keys, and before you ask, I have the right to be here." Olivia felt rage building in her chest. "Right, you broke into my house. I'm calling the police." She turned to grab her phone, but his voice made her stop. "I'm David Sterling." The name hit her like a punch. Sterling, the same last name as the company where she worked. She slowly turned to face him again. "What does that have to do with me?" David took a deep breath, as if preparing to say something he had rehearsed many times. 6 years ago, you worked as a waitress at a corporate event for my company. It was a holiday party in December. You wore a navy blue dress and were responsible for serving drinks in the VIP area." Olivia felt the blood drain from her face. She remembered that event. It had been a temporary job, just one night, to earn some extra money before Christmas. "How did he know that?" "You don't remember me," he continued, "but I remember you, and I remember that night." Olivia's voice came out trembling. "I don't understand." David took a step closer, and she could see something in his eyes that she couldn't decipher. Regret? Determination? "Olivia," he said softly, "I'm Chloe's father." The world stopped. Olivia felt as if all the words she knew had simply vanished from her mind. She stood there, looking at David, trying to process what he had just said. That's impossible." Her voice came out as a whisper. David remained still where he was, but there was something in his expression that was both determined and vulnerable. "I know it sounds crazy. I know you must be in shock, but I can prove it." "Prove it?" Olivia managed to regain some of her voice, but she was still trembling. "You disappear for 6 years and show up in my kitchen saying you're Chloe's father. Are you insane?" "I didn't disappear," David said calmly. "I didn't know." That made her stop. What do you mean, you didn't know? David ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that revealed nervousness behind his controlled facade. That night, after the event, we talked in the hotel garden. You had finished work and I was trying to escape the party. We talked about everything and nothing. You said you were studying, that you wanted to be a teacher. Olivia remembered. She remembered meeting a man in the garden, yes. He had said he was just one of the guests who also needed some fresh air. They talked for hours. He was funny, intelligent, different from the other men she knew. And yes, one thing had led to another. You said your name was just David. You never mentioned a last name, never said who you were. Because at that time, I was tired of being the Sterling of Sterling and Co. I wanted to be just David for one night. He paused. The next day, you were gone. The hotel said you hadn't left any contact information other than the phone number on file with the event company. But when I tried to call, the number didn't exist. Olivia remembered that too. She had given a fake number to the event company because she didn't want them to bother her afterward. For months I tried to find you. I asked the event company, but they said you had only been hired for that night, that they had no more information about you. It was as if you had simply disappeared. Olivia's mind was racing. But Chloe, 3 months ago, my assistant was organizing the company's files and found some old documents from the cleaning company. Your name was there, Olivia Miller, and there was an address. And David looked directly into her eyes. I started investigating discreetly. I found out you had a 6-year-old daughter. Olivia's heart was pounding so hard she could hear her own pulse in her ears. The dates matched perfectly, he continued. Chloe was born exactly 9 months after that night. That proves nothing, Olivia exploded, finally finding her voice. You can't just show up here and... I can do a DNA test, David interrupted her. In fact, I've already asked a lawyer to prepare all the documentation, but Olivia... He took another step closer. I saw a picture of her. Olivia frowned. What picture? How did you... At her school. I went there last week. I saw you pick her up. His voice softened. She has my eyes, Olivia, and she has that same birthmark I have on my shoulder. Olivia felt her legs tremble. Chloe really did have a small crescent moon-shaped mark on her left shoulder. She had always thought it was just a peculiarity. Even if it's true, she managed to say. Why now? Why only now? Because only now did I know she existed. David's voice carried something that could be regret. And because the more I think about it, the more I realize that you two deserve so much more than I've offered until now, without even knowing. It was then that a small voice came from the hallway. Mommy, who are you talking to? Chloe appeared at the kitchen entrance, her hair messy and holding her teddy bear. She looked at David with curiosity, but without fear. The silence that followed was deafening. Olivia felt the world spin around her. Her daughter was there, innocent and curious, looking at the man who claimed to be her father. A man she herself could barely process existed. Chloe, sweetie, go back to your room. Mommy will be right there. But Chloe, being the curious child she was, didn't move. Instead, she tilted her head and looked directly at David. You're very tall, she said simply. David smiled for the first time since Olivia found him in the kitchen. It was a genuine smile that completely transformed his face. It's true, and you're very brave for coming here to see who was talking to your mom. Chloe took a few steps into the kitchen. Are you making coffee? It smells good. Chloe. Olivia hurried towards her daughter. Come on, you need to get ready for school. But it's still early, Mommy, and I want to know who he is. David knelt down to Chloe's height. My name is David, and you must be Chloe. How do you know my name? Chloe asked without any hesitation. Olivia held her breath. How would David answer that? Your mom told me about you, he said carefully. Chloe nodded, as if that made perfect sense. Do you work with Mommy? In a way, yes. Olivia watched the interaction with a mixture of fascination and terror. There was something in the way David spoke to Chloe, patient, respectful, as if he genuinely cared about what she had to say. Chloe, Olivia interrupted, how about you go brush your teeth and then we'll talk? Okay. Chloe turned to David. Are you staying for breakfast? David looked at Olivia for a moment. That depends on your mom. Chloe followed his gaze and turned to Olivia with hopeful eyes. Can he, Mommy? Please. I've never had breakfast with a visitor. Olivia found herself in an impossible situation. How could she explain the complexity of the situation to a 6-year-old? How could she say no to those hopeful little eyes without creating more confusion? All right, she murmured, but go get ready first. Chloe smiled radiantly and ran back to her room. Olivia was left alone with David again, but now the silence had a different weight. She's amazing, David said softly. She's my whole life. Olivia's voice carried a tone of warning. David nodded in understanding. I can see that, and I can see that you've done a wonderful job raising her. Alone, Olivia emphasized. I raised her alone. I know, and I regret that every day since I found out. Olivia studied him. There was sincerity in his voice, but she was still far from trusting him. Why should I believe you? How do I know you're not some kind of opportunist? Maybe you saw her somewhere and decided you could gain something by pretending to be her father. David took a deep breath. Because I can show you. He took a wallet from his pants pocket and pulled something out. This is a picture of me when I was 6 years old. He held out the photo to Olivia, who took it with trembling hands. What she saw left her speechless. The child in the photo could have been Chloe. The same dark eyes, the same face shape, even the same slightly stubborn expression. It was impossible to deny the resemblance. This isn't possible, she whispered. Olivia, David said gently, I didn't come here to cause problems. I didn't come to take Chloe from you or drastically change your life. I came because I can finally take the responsibility I should have taken 6 years ago. I came because I want to get to know my daughter and help both of you. Olivia looked at the photo again, then at David. As much as her rational mind screamed caution, there was something in her heart that whispered he was telling the truth. Olivia slowly sat down in the kitchen chair, still holding the photograph. Her mind was trying to process not only the revelation about David's identity, but all the implications of what that meant. You said you own the company where I work, she said, her voice still unsteady. I do, Sterling & Co. David sat in the opposite chair, maintaining a respectful distance. It's a consulting and investment firm. I founded it 8 years ago, so you're a millionaire. Yes. He didn't try to soften or deny it. But that's not what matters right now. Olivia let out a bitter laugh. That's not what matters. David, I work cleaning your building every night. I make in a month what you probably spend on one lunch. And that makes me furious with myself, he said with intensity. While I was building a company, making money, you two were here, living with difficulties, and I had no idea. Chloe reappeared in the kitchen, already dressed in her school uniform, but still an hour before she needed to leave. Can I help make breakfast? She asked excitedly. Of course, Princess. Olivia quickly got up, grateful for the distraction. How about you make your toast? As Chloe was busy with the utensils, David watched every move the girl made with an almost reverent attention. Olivia noticed he was memorizing every detail. The way Chloe hummed softly while cooking, how she meticulously arranged things, how her hair fell over her face when she concentrated. Do you like toast? Chloe asked David. I love it. What's your favorite kind? With strawberry jam, what about you? I've never tried it with strawberry jam, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Chloe smiled. Mommy makes the best strawberry jam in the world. She taught me. David looked at Olivia. You make jam? Olivia felt her cheeks flush. It's just a simple recipe when there's a strawberry sale at the grocery store. Mommy does a lot of things, Chloe continued proudly. She fixes things that break, makes all my favorite foods, and reads me stories every night before bed. What kind of stories? David asked. Princesses, dragons, adventures? But the best ones are the ones Mommy makes up on the spot. She's very creative. Olivia felt exposed under David's admiring gaze. For years, she had just been a mom, doing what was necessary for her daughter. She had never stopped to think that an outsider might see it as something special. And what's your favorite story? David continued. Chloe thought for a moment. The one about the princess who didn't need a prince because she saved everyone herself, like Mommy. The silence that followed was charged with emotion. David cleared his throat before speaking. Your mom truly is a special princess. They had breakfast together, and Olivia was surprised by how natural the situation felt. David asked Chloe genuine questions about school, friends, and things she liked to do. He didn't try to impress with promises or gifts. He just listened. And Chloe, being herself, chatted happily about everything. When it was time to take Chloe to school, David offered to wait. I need to go to work afterward, Olivia said hesitantly. You work during the day too? I clean for a few houses to supplement my income. David clenched his fists. How many hours do you sleep a day, Olivia? Enough. She picked up Chloe's backpack. Come on, sweetie. We're going to be late. At the apartment door, Chloe turned to David. Are you coming back? David looked at Olivia, waiting for some sign. She nodded almost imperceptibly. If your mom allows it, yes. Then see you later. Chloe waved cheerfully. As they went down the stairs, Chloe asked, Mommy, is David going to be our friend? Olivia didn't know how to answer that question. After dropping off Chloe at school, Olivia returned home with a whirlwind of thoughts in her head. David was still there. He had washed the breakfast dishes and was sitting on the living room couch, looking at Chloe's drawings on the wall. She draws really well, he commented when Olivia walked in. She loves to draw, wants to be an artist when she grows up, or a teacher, or a veterinarian. Changes her mind every week. Olivia sat in the armchair opposite, keeping her distance. David, we need to talk seriously. He turned to face her completely. I know, and I know you have every right to be suspicious, angry, confused. I'm not expecting you to believe me immediately. So what are you expecting? David took a deep breath. A chance. A chance to get to know Chloe gradually, to prove that my intentions are genuine, a chance to truly help both of you. Help how? Olivia, you work 16 hours a day. You're killing yourself to provide the basics for Chloe. That's not fair to either of you. Olivia's natural defense kicked in. I'm managing to take care of my daughter just fine, thank you very much. I'm not questioning your ability as a mother. From the little I've seen today, it's clear that Chloe is happy, healthy, and very well behaved. You're an incredible mother. He paused. But you shouldn't have to carry this burden alone. Olivia felt tears threatening to surface, but she forced herself to remain strong. And what do you propose? That I simply accept your financial help? That I become dependent on someone who appeared out of nowhere? No, not at all. David leaned forward. I want to start slowly. I want to get to know Chloe, spend time with her if you allow it. I want her to get to know me as a person, not as the man who can change your financial situation. And then, Then, if the DNA test confirms what we already know, we can talk about how to structure this legally and financially. Child support, health insurance, a college fund. The things I should have been providing 6 years ago. Olivia was silent for a few minutes. The proposal was too tempting, and that scared her. Why should I trust you? How do I know you won't just disappear again when the novelty wears off? The question visibly hit him. You don't know, and I understand I need to earn that trust. But Olivia, ever since I found out about Chloe, I can't think of anything else. I can't focus on work. I can't sleep properly. I spent 6 years of her life lost, and I don't want to lose another day. There was something in the sincerity of his voice that touched Olivia, but she still had many practical questions. What if Chloe doesn't like you? What if she doesn't want to suddenly have a father? Then I'll respect that. I'll keep trying, but at her pace. I will never force a relationship. Olivia stood up and walked to the window. Outside, life continued normally. People going to work, children playing in the apartment building's playground, dogs being walked. Her life, which had been predictable and controlled until a few hours ago, was now completely upside down. I need time to think, she finally said. How much time do you need? I don't know. A few days? A week? She turned to him. And I want you to get that DNA test done as soon as possible. I've already scheduled it for tomorrow, if you agree. It's simple, just a saliva sample. Olivia nodded. At least that would settle the main issue. One thing, David, if you really are her father, if the test confirms it, I will never allow you to disappoint her. Chloe has already spent 6 years without a father. She doesn't need someone who comes and goes from her life whenever they please. I understand, and you have my word that that won't happen. His word. Olivia just hoped it was worth something. The next 3 days were the strangest of Olivia's life. David didn't show up again without warning, but he called every day to ask how they were doing. Short, respectful conversations, but ones that always excited Chloe when she found out it was him on the phone. The DNA test had been done on the second day. David hired a specialized company that came to the apartment, making everything simpler and more comfortable for Chloe. The girl found the process interesting and asked 1,000 questions about how it worked, turning what could have been tense into something almost educational. Mommy, Chloe asked on the evening of the third day, while Olivia was helping her brush her teeth, is David going to be my daddy? Olivia almost dropped the toothbrush. It was the question she had been dreading and expecting at the same time. Why are you asking that, sweetie? Because he's very kind to me, and because you act differently when he's around. Differently how? Chloe thought for a moment, more nervous, but also happier. It's hard to explain. Olivia knelt in front of her daughter. Chloe, David might be your biological daddy. That means endure well that you have the same blood, the same family. Like the girls in my class who look like their daddies? Exactly. Chloe nodded seriously. And if he really is my daddy, will he live here with us? Not necessarily. Adults can be family without living in the same house. Like grandma and grandpa. That's right. Chloe seemed to process the information. I liked him, Mommy. He really listens to me when I talk. And he didn't pretend to know things about kids just to impress me. The observation surprised Olivia. For a 6-year-old girl, Chloe had a very keen perception of people. And would you like him to be your daddy? I think so, but only if you like him too. Olivia felt her heart clench. Why? Because you're more important. You always took care of me. If you don't like him, then he can't be a very good person. The next morning, while Chloe was at school, Olivia received a call. It was David. Olivia, the results are in. She felt her stomach churn. And it's positive. I'm Chloe's father. Even expecting this confirmation, hearing the words hit her like a punch. Her life had changed forever with that simple sentence. "Olivia, are you there?" "I am." Her voice came out weaker than she intended. "Can we talk? In person? There are some things I'd like to discuss." An hour later, David was back in her living room, but this time he brought a folder of documents. "First," he began, "I want you to know that I didn't come here to take Chloe from you in any way. You are her mother. You raised her. You are the most important person in her life." Olivia nodded, still processing the reality of the situation. "Second, I want to establish official financial support. I've calculated 6 years of child support that I should have paid, plus current support. I also want to include Chloe on my health insurance and open a college fund for her education." He took some papers from the folder. "These are the amounts my lawyer calculated as appropriate." Olivia looked at the numbers and felt dizzy. It was more money than she made in 2 years of work. "David, this is a lot. It's the least I can do. And Olivia, there's one more thing." He hesitated. "You don't need to work so much. With the support I'll provide, you can reduce your jobs, have more time with Chloe, maybe even go back to school." "I can't just stop working." "I'm not asking you to stop. I'm offering you the option to choose. To choose to work because you want to, not because you desperately need to." Olivia looked again at the documents. It was the answer to all her financial problems, but it also represented a fundamental shift in her independence. "I need to think about all of this." "Of course, but there's one thing we don't need to think much about." "What?" "How to tell Chloe, because she deserves to know the truth." That afternoon, after Chloe came home from school, Olivia and David sat with her in the living room. Chloe immediately noticed the seriousness of the moment. "Am I in trouble?" she asked, looking between the two adults. Olivia smiled, trying to ease the tension. "No, Princess. Actually, we have some important news to tell you." Chloe settled onto the couch, hugging her favorite teddy bear. "What kind of news?" David took a deep breath. "Chloe, do you remember that test we did a few days ago with the lady who came here?" "Yes. She said she was going to find out who I got my eyes from." Olivia and David exchanged a look. Chloe's innocence made everything both simpler and more complicated at the same time. "Exactly," Olivia continued, "and we found out that, well, David is your biological daddy." Chloe blinked a few times, processing the information. "You mean he's my real daddy?" "Yes," David said softly. "That means you're my daughter." For a moment, Chloe was completely silent. Then she tilted her head with curiosity. "Why weren't you here before?" The direct and honest question from a child can be more devastating than any accusation from an adult. David felt the full impact of his years of involuntary absence. "Because I didn't know you existed," he answered with equal honesty. "If I had known, I would have come much sooner." "But you didn't try to find out." Olivia gently intervened. "Sweetie, sometimes adults lose touch and it's nobody's fault. The important thing is that now he knows and he wants to be a part of your life." Chloe nodded, but there were more questions in her bright eyes. "Does that mean you're going to be my daddy now, like my friends' daddies?" David knelt in front of her, getting down to her eye level. "I would love that very much if you want me to be, but it won't happen overnight. We need to get to know each other better first, and you can decide what you want our relationship to be. Can I call you Daddy?" The question came out so simply, so naturally, that David felt his eyes well up. "If you want to, it would be an honor." Chloe smiled. "And are you going to teach me things, like other daddies do?" "What would you like to learn?" Chloe thought seriously. "I want to learn how to ride a bike, and Mommy said I can learn to swim when I'm older, and I want to know how your job works." Olivia watched the interaction with a heavy heart. There was something so natural in the way Chloe accepted David, as if a part of her always knew he existed. "And are you going to come here often?" Chloe continued her questions. "As often as your mom allows, and as often as you want." Chloe turned to Olivia. "Mummy, do you want him to come often?" Olivia took a deep breath, looked up under both their expectant gazes. I want you two to have a good relationship, and if that means he'll be coming here frequently, then yes." "Great." Chloe seemed to consider the matter settled. Then, with the typical speed of children changing topics, she asked, "David, do you like to draw?" "I'm not very good at it, but I like to try." "I can teach you, and you can help me with my math homework." "Math is hard." David laughed, and Olivia noticed how his laughter completely transformed his face. "Math I can help with. Actually, I was very good at math in school." "Really? Mom's good too, but she said when I grow up, I'll need someone even better to help me with the hard stuff." Olivia blushed slightly. "I said you might need a tutor in the future." "Well," David said, looking directly at Olivia, "it seems the future arrived sooner than we expected." The rest of the afternoon passed naturally, with Chloe showing her drawings to David, explaining every detail with the enthusiasm of a child who finally had someone new to impress. 2 weeks later, a new routine had established itself in Olivia and Chloe's lives. David came to visit them 3 times a week, always after Chloe returned from school. He brought drawing supplies, educational games, and infinite patience to listen to Chloe's endless stories about her class, her teachers, and her daily discoveries. Olivia had reduced her extra work. With David's financial support, she was able to leave 2 of her 3 daytime cleaning jobs, keeping only the night shift at the office building, an irony that did not go unnoticed by either of them. "It's strange knowing you clean my office," David commented one afternoon while Chloe was doing homework at the kitchen table. "It's strange knowing you own the office I clean," Olivia replied, preparing a snack for everyone. There were moments like this, when they talked softly while Chloe was focused on other things, that Olivia felt a strange intimacy developing between them. Not romantic exactly, but a partnership. A natural collaboration centered around Chloe's well-being. David had proven true to all his promises. He showed up when he said he would, respected Olivia's rules about schedules and activities, and never tried to buy Chloe's affection with extravagant gifts. Instead, he brought books, puzzles, and simple experiences like making popcorn at home or planting seeds in small pots. "Mom," Chloe said suddenly, looking up from her homework, "the teacher said next week we're having a parent presentation at school." Olivia and David exchanged a look. It was the first school event since he had entered their lives. "What kind of presentation?" Olivia asked. "Each kid will talk about their family, and parents can come watch." The silence that followed was loaded with meaning. Chloe continued writing, seemingly unaware of the tension she had created. Would you like me to go?" David asked carefully. Chloe stopped writing and looked at him. "You're my dad. Of course I want you to go." Olivia felt her heart clench. "Chloe, honey, maybe it's better if—" "Why?" Chloe interrupted. "The other kids will have their mom and dad there. I want that too." David looked at Olivia. "If you don't feel comfortable, I completely understand." Olivia observed Chloe's hopeful face, then David's anxious gaze. In the past 2 weeks, she had seen how David strived to be a present and consistent father. He had never missed an appointment, always called when he said he would, and most importantly, Chloe was visibly happier. "All right," she said finally, "but we'll go together. As a family." The word felt strange coming out of her mouth. Family. Were they really a family now? An unconventional family, certainly, but a family nonetheless. Chloe smiled radiantly. "I'm going to tell Ashley that my dad is coming to the presentation too." That night, after Chloe went to sleep, Olivia and David stayed in the living room talking. "Thank you," David said, "for letting me go to school with you guys. I know it's not easy. Chloe wants you there. That's what matters." David nodded. "Olivia, can I ask you something?" "Of course. How do you feel about all this, about me being here, about this new dynamic?" Olivia thought for a moment. "Honestly, it's still strange. 6 years raising her alone and suddenly having someone else who cares as much as I do. It's a big adjustment. And you're adjusting well." "I think so. Chloe is happy, and that's what matters most to me." She paused. "And you? How is it for you?" "It's the best thing that's ever happened in my life," he replied without hesitation. "And also the scariest. I'm afraid of disappointing both of you. David, you showed up in our lives and didn't run away when things got complicated. That's more than many men do." They fell into a comfortable silence for a few minutes, each lost in their own thoughts about how their lives had changed and where they were headed. 6 months later, Olivia was in the school auditorium, watching Chloe present her family project. The girl was radiant on the small stage, pointing to a colorful poster board she had made with drawings of the three of them. "This is my family," Chloe said confidently into the microphone. "This is my mom, Olivia. She's the bravest person I know because she took care of me all by herself for a long time. And this is my dad, David. He came into our lives recently, but it feels like he's always been there." Olivia felt her eyes well up with tears. Beside her, David was equally moved. "My family might be different from others," Chloe continued, "because my parents aren't married and don't live together. But they like each other a lot and love me very much. And that's what matters." When the presentation ended, Chloe ran to them and David swept her up, spinning her around as she laughed. "You were amazing, princess," he said. "Did you see how I spoke into the microphone without getting nervous?" "We sure did. You were very brave," Olivia said, hugging her daughter when David set her down. Later, as they were leaving school, other mothers approached Olivia, some with genuine curiosity, others with that look she knew well, the silent judgment about her situation. "Olivia, your boyfriend seems very kind to Chloe," one of the mothers commented. "He's not my boyfriend," Olivia replied calmly. "He's Chloe's father." "Oh," the woman seemed embarrassed. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "It's okay. It is a bit of a complicated situation." David approached, carrying Chloe's backpack. "Everything all right over here?" "Everything's great," Olivia replied, and realized that everything really was great. She no longer felt embarrassed or defensive about her family's setup. On the way home, Chloe chatted animatedly about the presentation and the compliments she had received from her teachers. David suggested they stop for ice cream to celebrate. "Can I choose 3 flavors?" Chloe asked hopefully. "Of course you can," David replied. "It's a special day." Sitting in the ice cream parlor, watching Chloe savor her elaborate mix of flavors, Olivia realized how much her life had changed. The constant fear about money had significantly lessened. She had more time to spend with Chloe, more energy to be present instead of just surviving. And Chloe was flourishing. "Olivia," David said softly, "thank you." "For what?" "For giving me the chance to be her dad, for trusting me, for making us a family." Olivia smiled. "You earned that chance every single day." It was true, David had proven consistent, present, and genuinely committed to Chloe's well-being. He had never tried to replace Olivia as the primary figure in the girl's life, but had found his own unique place as a father. "Mom, David," Chloe said suddenly, "can I ask a serious question?" They exchanged glances, intrigued. "Of course, honey. Do you think you might get married someday?" Olivia almost choked on her ice cream. David seemed equally surprised. Why are you asking that?" Olivia managed to say. "Because I see how you look at each other sometimes, and because it would be nice if you liked each other the same way you like me." In the way children have of seeing things simply and directly, Chloe had voiced something Olivia had barely admitted to herself, that there was, indeed, something developing between her and David beyond their parental partnership. David looked at Olivia. "Chloe, your mom and I are very good friends right now, and who knows what the future holds." "But do you like each other?" Chloe insisted. Olivia felt her cheeks flush. We respect each other a lot, and we enjoy spending time together. And that's a good start," David added, his gaze meeting Olivia's. Chloe seemed satisfied with the answer and returned to her ice cream. But Olivia knew the question would echo in her mind for a long time. Because the truth was, yes, she was starting to care for David in a way that went beyond him just being Chloe's father. And by the looks he gave her, perhaps he felt the same. Whatever the future brought, one thing was certain. They had created something beautiful together, a true family built on love, respect, and the well-being of a special little girl who had united their hearts in ways neither of them expected. The end. Thank you for following this story of family, love, and second chances. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and share in the comments how this story touched your heart. See you next time.